afternoon, and welcome to the maiden edition of Education Telescope on Leadership TV. I am your host, Mariam Rabiu. Education Telescope is aimed at bringing what is going on in the educational sector within and outside Nigeria. We bring to you news updates and reviews on trending topics in the educational sector. Today, we'll be talking about what happened last week. According to Adamu Adamu, the Minister of Education, he said three more ministers will be needed in the in the Ministry of Education. But before then, we are going to go into news updates. I am going to tell us three news that is going on. Expert says investment in digital resources necessary to advance girls in education. Stakeholders in the education technology space have been advised to invest in digital resources to enhance the quality of education among girls. This was the takeout of the conversation during the October edition of EdTech Monday, an initiative of the Mastercard Foundation in partnership with Co-Creation Hub. The virtual roundtable, moderated by a social engineering practitioner, Joyce Daniel, featured panelists such as National Program Officers, UN Women in Nigeria, Patience Ekoba, Associate Product Marketing Manager, Google, Temilade Adelakun, and former Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Akwa Ibom State, Eunice Thomas, and an undergraduate of University of Benin, Oseme Egbiodun. The federal government commits $700 million to World Bank-assisted adolescent girls' education. Federal government says ASUU cannot be paid for work not done. The federal government of Nigeria says Ministry of Labour and Employment has refuted media reports alleging bias in the payment of salaries of members of the Academic Staff Union of University (ASUU). The ministry further dismissed ASUU claims and their members were paid half their salary for the month of October. In a press statement issued by Olajide Oshundun, head of press and public relations, the Labour Ministry on Saturday said that both reports are grossly inaccurate, misleading, and barefaced distortions of facts. Investment in digital resources necessary to advance girls' education. The virtual roundtable moderated. That is all on the news for today. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we are going to talk about what Adamu Adamu said regarding appointment of three more ministers for educational sector. We'll be back after the short break.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
If you are just joining us, this is Education Telescope on Leadership TV, and I am your host, Mariam Rabiu. In the first segment, we talked about news updates about what is happening in the educational sector. And now in the second segment, we'll be talking about what Adamu Adamu said regarding appointing three more ministers for education, one for primary, one for secondary, and one for tertiary institutions. Leadership TV went out last week to interview some Nigerians regarding the topic. We had their views and what they have to say about it.
Education, to me, You don't make any value in the education sector. We're supposed to get only one minister, educated minister that is not corrupt. When we get another three minister in the education sector, corruption is going. That minister may have a steward. Instead of having one steward, we are now getting to get three. Instead of having driver one, he's now getting three. Now the money that education is supposed to put in education and go forward is going to the steward. So there is no need of getting three ministers for one education sector. Education is a major road for everybody in Nigeria. Whether you are a professor or everything you start, you are in the education sector. So we don't play with the education sector and be giving three minister or whatever. It don't make any sense. So what we need to change is curriculum of education. We need to change it to go like during 1967. That one was perfect. A student of primary 7 at that time, he can read and write, he can lecture. But now, a graduate cannot write his name. As I'm speaking to you now, some graduates cannot write their full name and their papa's name. So, bringing those issues in the education sector is the one that is setting the education down.
NSC, or personally, based on my own personal experience, because I'm a student of a federal. Although I used to be a student of a federal university, for instance, but then I had to make a transfer as a result of the long-term strike. So personally, the government has a major role to play in the educational system of the country, followed by the Minister of Education. But then I feel like once the government is incompetent, then whoever is going to be appointed as a minister is also going to be incompetent. Because take a look at Adamu Adamu, for instance. He's been the Minister of Education for the past few years. And since he's been the Minister of Education, I think the students have gone into strike twice. So they just came back from strike, and then you're already hearing another news of also planning to go back into strike. So such a thing, for instance, a course of 7 years is turning into 9, course of 4 is turning into 6. So but personally for me, if I'm to make changes, if I had the power to make changes, I would start by denouncing Adamu Adamu as the Minister of Education, and then putting someone who has competence, someone who is trustworthy, someone who has a good educational background. Yeah, because you can't just put someone who has no good educational background to be a minister and to lead educational system. It's not possible. It's just like trying someone who's not a babysitter to babysit a baby. I think it's a good idea, because I feel like with 3 more ministers, like for instance, during the ASU negotiation, he wasn't present in most of the meetings, for instance. But I feel like if they eventually appoint 3 more ministers, who knows? They say 2 heads are better than 1. So probably when they come together, then our educational system might just function.
That is all Nigerians had to say about the topic that Adamu Adamu said about appointing 3 more ministers for education. Some agreed that it's okay, while some didn't agree that it's okay. Some said it's unnecessary, while said it's not necessary. Necessary. So, what do we all think about what Adamu Adamu said? As for me, I don't think it's necessary to appoint 3 ministers for education, because if you appoint 3 ministers for education, what do we achieve? We achieve nothing. 1 for primary, 1 for secondary, and 1 for tertiary. What is the use? What are their use? What has Adamu Adamu achieved in the past years as the Minister of Education? What do he want the others to achieve also? That is all on Education Telescope. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Mariam Rabiu. See you same time next week on Leadership TV. Have a nice day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last word